and welcome back to Home in the Earth. This episode is all about finishing up the tower exterior, and for us that generally means layers of insulation, lath, and stucco, with a few layers of waterproofing in between. In earlier videos, you can see how the tower was built with CMU blocks, that's concrete masonry units, and then covered in stucco that was reinforced with fiberglass, which actually adds a lot of strength. And then at some point we waterproofed the whole thing with BlueMax waterproofing. By the time this clip starts, we've already added treated furring strips, secured into that concrete with Tapcons, so that later we can attach things to that. And we've already begun adding insulation between those strips. That brown tarp is just an extra layer of waterproofing. It overlaps the roof waterproofing. And now I'm adding additional treated furring strips as we work our way around the tower. Just a comment that this whole thing is filmed with a pretty wide angle lens, so the tower looks smaller than it actually is. There's really 8 windows around this thing, so you're only seeing a quarter of it at a time. Those extra little wooden blocks that I'm adding, they're just temporary. They hold the pink XPS in place while the spray foam glue sets up. On the right side there, Sherri's adding a final coat of stucco on the protruding portions of these dormers. As you may recall from an earlier video when we insulated the roof, there's actually lath and insulation and even more waterproofing underneath that scratch coat layer. Sherri's doing a great job in getting that stucco just right. I wish we could have kept it that nice brown color, but it doesn't really work that way. It always turns gray. Note that the stucco overlaps that rubber with a bit of a step up to the stucco on that leading edge. That nice step will guide the water away from that later. And now at another time, we're coming back and adding another layer of rubber pieces over that stucco. Time has passed, so you can see that the color has already changed back toward gray. We used a lot of rubber and a whole bucket of that glue doing all these layers. This layer of rubber also goes up the side of the building a little. There was no sense trimming it off and having waste. We might as well use that vertical to redirect any water that gets in there. On the left you can see Sherri's coming back with another layer of BlueMax waterproofing over that final stucco. And this will overlap the rubber a little also. I'm also adding some leftover rubber scraps to the wall. This just adds to that waterproofing. That glue needs time to dissolve the rubber a little bit, so I tape it up while that happens. And then after the appropriate amount of time, I'll flip that rubber flap down and press it to get the permanent bond with the roof rubber. It is super sticky at that point and will fuse with whatever it touches first, so Sherri helps me get it right the first time. It won't really be a complete seal because I'll be putting screw holes through it, but it should shed most of the water that manages to get under the subsequent wall layers, and also the screws do kind of reseal under the rubber. That piece of pink in the corner is a piece of insulation that I'm using as a chamfer. It rounds out that corner just to help the water flow out a little easier. These tight corners are the most critical to get right because water or snow might sit in there a bit, so I was very meticulous with it. I'm following training videos that I watched about installing EPDM membranes on flat commercial roofs. And then next we can start on the second layer of insulation. There will be a total of 4 inches of Foamular 250 insulation, so that's a bit over R20 on these walls. That's not super thick, but it does meet code, and I think that's about as much as this method of attachment will hold. And then later I come back and add this lath, and that's what's going to hold the stucco layer. The little puzzle pieces around the sides and tops of the windows took more time than all the larger areas of the wall. Now I'm setting up my AdirPro self-leveling laser that someone got me. I like it much better than my Bosch laser, so you'll see I use it from now on, instead of the other one. In this case, I'm using it to mark the top edge of the wall at the right height so that I can come back later and add a nice level soffit. That'll probably be in the next video. I'm putting up blocks of wood attached to the hidden furring strips and roof trusses, and then later the soffit will come back and attach directly to this. The sun sets every day, but you don't get a sunset every day. Continuing around this side some more, and you can see that this is a more continuous piece of rubber than the scraps we'd used earlier. You can also see that I always cut neat chamfers on the edges of the insulation so that I can get a nice reveal around each window. I did that with my table saw before even bringing the pieces up to the roof. Here's a bit of a close-up on that window lath detail. The screws under the window are going through the window's nail flange into the window buck. Skipping ahead a bit, and you can see we've got going on the scratch coat over that stucco. I'm trying to stay ahead of Sherri with that blocking for the soffit. That separate video comes soon. This way she can stucco right up to that top edge. And we'll just work our way around the tower, section by section. Here we've only filmed the scratch coat going up. Sherri will give this a week to cure, and then she'll be back to put on the brown coat. Unfortunately, I had the camera for the Soffit video at that point, so none of that got filmed. But we'll put pictures of the finished product on the Facebook page if you want to see those steps. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Like, subscribe, all that stuff that people tell you. It really does help. Thanks, bye.